Hi everybody, this is Barbara Velez, keeping it real for you in this season. I want to talk about boxes today, and you might say, what about boxes? Why are boxes relevant? Well, I want to give you an analogy about boxes and our mindsets. We've been talking a lot about mindsets and changing our mindsets, and I think this is relevant for what we've been discussing during this season. Boxes are to put away stuff. We put things away in boxes, we reorganize things, and we contain things in boxes. Or now we have containers, the container for this, the container for that. We have totes and many things to organize things. But the purpose of these containers or these boxes is to put away things, to hide things, to put them, we don't want to see them. Maybe we need them, but we don't want to see them. So when we are packing or putting away things, we consider that boxes, and we want these things to be securely placed in a container on a box, because we want to store them for later or store them for the future, or maybe we just don't want to deal with them. Just like when I asked my son to clean up his Legos, I don't want to see them. So basically that's why I want him to put in containers. But our minds are like those containers. We have compartments in our minds, and we put away stuff in our minds. We have a box for the family or the house. We have a box for when we are outside with friends, and we have a box for the school. We have a box for the church. And I've been using this analogy, and because we do compartmentalize things in our when we think about stuff, and when we do that, we put kind of like a label on it. Especially when we say, I don't want to talk about it, there's a label there that says danger. And the same way we use labels to identify what's in the box, we put labels in our mind to identify things that we like, things that we don't like, things that are relevant to us, things that we don't want to deal with right now, things that we want to forget, and we just like label them as like do not touch, or like I really don't want to see you anymore. But we tend to use that, and we kind of like have a filing system in our brains about the way we think about ourselves and the way we think about others. And I want to talk to you about that, because using that analogy, the same way you have these ways of thinking or view life, other people's have ways to view life, view people around them, and view yourself. And I want to talk to you about you putting yourself in a box because you are labeled certain things or certain circumstances as I can't, or that is not possible, or you have created a label that says this is limited, or this is impossible, or I have no way to do that, and or my circumstances are this, and because you are seeing your circumstances, you have created a label that says I have no money, or you have created a label that I have no possibility to do that. And you are putting yourself in a box. When you say I have no money, you're putting yourself in a box, and you're saying I have no possibility to move beyond this here, or I don't have the ability to prosper. And that's what is coming out of your mouth. That is what you're saying. You perhaps are not thinking that you are expressing that, but what you are saying is that you are putting yourself in a category of I can't, or I don't have, I'm lacking. When the Bible says that God has given you His riches, that He is a God, that He has given you all things according to His riches in glory. So it's very important that you start identifying those things that you have in your thought patterns that are creating a way of thinking that it's limiting you, that is limiting your ability to move beyond where you're at right now. Maybe it's perhaps your circumstances, or maybe it's regarding a situation at work that you feel oppressed, or maybe it's a situation in your family that you feel like you are impotent regarding a situation, because you might feel like you don't have the tools to deal with that situation. Maybe you have an adolescent at home, and that's challenging for you. But those things are things that we have learned to put in our minds, and we are created excuses to limit ourselves, or to put those thoughts kind of in a box, and I don't want to talk about it, or I can't deal with that right now, or I don't have the strategies to do that, or I'm incapable of helping, or I'm incapable of solving that problem. So you yourself are putting a label on yourself, and you're saying I can't, or you're saying I won't, or you're saying I don't. So, and when you label with a negative, your circumstances will stay negative. But when you change that label and you say, I can, because the Bible says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me, then you're changing your negative to a positive. And then you can start changing that label from that something that it's a negative into a positive, and also changing your mindset from a crippling mindset, a mindset that paralyzes you or doesn't allow you to move forward, into a mindset that allows you to move forward. You have to understand that sometimes we tell ourselves, well, these are circumstances, or these are my limitations right now, or we sometimes, for some things, we use the word boundaries. Oh, I can't do that because I have to learn my boundaries. Especially at work, we are like, oh, well, I have to learn my place, I have to learn my boundaries, or especially at certain settings, oh, well, I'm not going to speak up or not going to say anything because that's not my place. We have to understand that there are certain things that are not our place, but if you feel trapped, or you need that, you feel like your voice needs to be heard in a respectful way and manner, you must have a strategy to make your voice heard. Because if not, you're boxing yourself, you're confusing yourself, you're creating yourself something that traps you instead of having something that liberates you. And a boundary liberates you because it tells you up to the point that you can get, and where you can where is your responsibility in a matter. But a box or a label limits your ability to go beyond your capacity. Okay, and I want to give you 4 strategies, or maybe 4 points, to get yourself out of that box that you have put circumstances in, or those mindsets that you have boxed in, and you are like there because I have said I can't, or you have said I don't, or I don't have. You have said a negative. And first of all, you must have a positive outlook or a positive vision to start getting outside that box. You must decide to step out of that I can't, or step outside that situation that brings pain or resistance into your life. Number 2, you must push through the difficulties. It's not enough to put a label on it and conform to what's going on. No. You need to push forth through it. You have to continue moving forward. You need to work out the situation, the problem. You have to find a way, because there's always a way. If you said you can't, then you can't. But if you look through different set of lenses, and I have said this before, and if you have catched some of my other videos, you will get a chance to finally find something or trigger something that you can use to solve your problem. Number 3, this is very important. As you go through the circumstances, and as you start crawling out of that negative thinking, you have to continue focusing your thoughts on God, because with God you can do everything, all things through Christ who strengthen you. And if you don't keep your eyes on God, which is the one that will strengthen you and will give you the I can, then you will stay on the I can't. Okay? And number 4, try not to get discouraged as you work out the problem, and as you work out from changing those labels that you're putting in that box from negative to positive. Because as you start changing your outlook, and as you start working on focusing on the positive and finding something that is giving you hope in the midst of the circumstances, then you are going to be able to move forward into breakthrough. So I guess that my challenge for you today is, do not look at the impossibility, look at the promises of God and move forward. And I want to leave you with this in the midst of this challenge. I want to give you the story of the bumblebee, and just a statement that says, according to the scientists, the bumblebee's body is too big and too heavy, and its wingspan is too small. So based on the composition of the body of the bumblebee, aerodynamically, the bumblebee is not supposed to be able to fly, because the wings of the bumblebee are smaller than the body of the bumblebee. So aerodynamically and scientifically, it's impossible for the bumblebee to fly. But the bumblebee doesn't know that, and the bumblebee fly. one of the impossibilities of nature's, and because the bumblebee hasn't labeled herself as I can't fly because my wings can sustain me, the bumblebee flies. So I just want to leave you with that little story, because when we don't know, or when we can't, when we don't put the label of I can't, we can. When we don't look at the impossibilities and we look at the possibilities, we will find an answer. When you do not know your limitations, you go out in the world and you will surprise yourself and you will surprise others, because in the midst of your circumstances, you will be able to allow yourself to show yourself that you could do it, you could make it. Others will be wonder because there might be limitations in their eyes and in your eyes, but because you decided that you could, you will make it and you will get out of that box. So then don't let anyone to impose limitations on yourself, but most importantly, don't allow anyone to limit yourself. I guess this is all for today, and this is Barbara Velez giving you tools for success in this season, keeping it real for you. God bless you. See you next time.